I'm Mark Krexler, co-developer of the Climate Web. Based on our 30 years in the field, the climatographers are convinced that the information exists to influence the thinking of almost anyone when it comes to climate change. Unfortunately, most of us never see the information that would most influence our decision-making. In other words, our actionable knowledge. We built the Climate Web to facilitate access to actionable climate knowledge, and it's also become the closest thing to a collective intelligence for tackling climate change. We didn't create the brain software we use for the Climate Web. The software has been around for a long time and is used in all kinds of ways. What really differentiates the brain from other mind mapping tools you may have seen is the ease with which it can manage and reorganize virtually infinite information. For exploring climate change, it's a game changer. Here's a great description of how people conventionally use the brain software. Stop the video for a second and give it a read. If you can imagine being able to do the equivalent of what Andrea is doing, but for a huge topic like tackling climate change, you'll understand why we've spent more than 20,000 hours building the Climate Web. At this point, I'm going to jump into the Climate Web itself to demonstrate some of the topical entry points available to you there. I won't overwhelm you by clicking through to all of the information organized under each entry point, but they're all available to be explored. You can also take advantage of our topical roadmap to dig into the topic more deeply. So here we've pulled together some of the entry points into the Climate Web that we can use for taking a look at, for exploring or doing due diligence on the potential for underestimating climate risks. I'm going to go ahead and open up the notes field to make room for some of the overlays that we'll be using as part of this demonstration. We'll first take a look at some of the index entries. So we have accelerating climate change, we have IPCC underestimation of risk, the deep dives for systemic climate risk, and even an index entry specific to underestimated climate risk. And this isn't by any means all of the index entries that might be relevant, but those are some key ones. Now, if we get into some of the sources categories, catastrophic risk decision-making, climate change, tipping points, climate sensitivities, dangerous climate impacts, extreme event impacts, fat and long tail risks, systemic risk, worst case climate change, lots of different categories to choose from there and to use to dig into the topic. In terms of news and opinion, accelerating/worsening climate change, changing climate change probabilities, climate change tipping points, climate sensitivity again, fat and long-tailed risks, lots of different places to go to dig into those subtopics. In terms of videos, abrupt change, extreme events, systemic climate risk, all of those organizing a number of different videos. Getting into the networking headings, we have climate emergency networks, extreme event network, risk assessment networks, systemic risk networks, organizing lots of information. Getting into the extracted materials, a lot to choose from, changing probability distributions, climate tipping points, climate sensitivity, food security impacts, security and climate change, systemic climate risk again, worst case climate change, lots of different extracted materials collections. Jumping back over to the other side, we have some of the dashboards that are available in terms of climate change scenario, core libraries, physical risk assessment, surveying, the WEF's annual risk reports, Systemic Climate Risk 101, Carbon Pricing 202, a lot of different dashboard collections that are relevant here. And last but not least, relevant insights pages. So we have insights pages accounting for systemic risk, interpreting sea level rise risk, probability distributions, a risk-averse social cost of carbon, expected change versus risk, key topic, the forecasting challenge, global food shock, lots of different insight pages that are potentially relevant if you want to get into this topic in more depth. We've just scanned one topical slice of the climate web. The bottom line is that for almost any climate topic, there is a lot of knowledge and insight we can all take advantage of to guide our individual, corporate, and societal decision-making around climate change. To that end, anyone can explore the full climate web online at any time. Or you can download the climate web for much faster and more powerful access. Topical roadmaps can help you navigate a number of complicated topics. You can also incorporate topical slices of the climate web or even the entire climate web into your own knowledge management system. The climatographers can also use the climate web to help you with almost any climate-related question or need. Your Climate Change PhD and Your Climate Change MBA are two unique ways to leverage the climate web. You won't actually receive a degree, but we've made the knowledge you'd associate with such a degree available to you at any time. The listed websites go into more detail. Thanks for watching. We'd welcome your feedback at info@climatographer.com.